Hello, my name is Courtney Yoshimura. I'm a program officer here at DCLA, and I will be highlighting the requirements for reporting on your FY21 CDF funded activities, including important changes to this year's CDF final report. The Programs Unit of the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs is committed to working closely with you as we all navigate FY21 CDF reporting during the COVID-19 pandemic. Please don't hesitate to reach out to your program officer as early as possible if you need assistance. This short video will address final reports for the Cultural Development Fund, and a separate video will be posted in the coming weeks regarding City Council initiatives. Please note the deadline for CDF final reporting materials is as soon as possible and no later than Monday, September 13th at 5 p.m.
¿Tiene alguna pregunta en español? Puede pedir asistencia en español enviando un email al helpdesk al cdfhelpdesk@culture.nyc.gov. Mi colega o yo le contestaremos su pregunta lo más rápido posible.
This video will provide information about what your organization can expect in the following areas in FY21. Report on FY21 projects included in your CDF grant agreement. FY21 Language Access Fund, LAF, and Disability Forward Fund, DFF awards will be included in your FY21 CDF final report. Allowable expenses related to COVID-19 will be approved. The online report form is essentially unchanged. What your organization can expect for FY21 CDF final reporting continued. Supplemental materials will be submitted digitally. Grantees will be able to revise scope as part of the online supplemental submission. Communication with your program officer will be over email and/or Microsoft Teams. Our review process may take longer than in the past. This video does not include a valuable feature of our standard in-person seminars, the opportunity for you to ask questions unique to your organization. After you have reviewed this video and the PDF of reporting instructions, please email any remaining questions to your organization's assigned program officer. It is our unit's goal to support our organizations during the reporting process, to work with you to achieve an improved final report, and to issue final payments for services provided in FY21. This video will focus on what your organization can expect this year, with changes for FY21 highlighted. Feel free to pause the video or return to it as you complete your report. Organizations are required to report on activities included in their FY21 CDF grant agreement. You may refer to Exhibit A, page 4, which references the number and summaries of projects supported by the FY21 CDF award. All FY21 CDF funded organizations were required to submit an application update form, AUF, in spring 2021. What you included in that form will dictate where you should look to find the details you provided for your FY21 CDF funded programs. If your organization has experienced significant adjustments to the scope or budget and funded programming, more information on submitting these requests for revision will follow later in this video. The information included in the update form submitted will not be included in the blue text in the online FY21 CDF final report. To confirm the approved funded programs, please look first at your grant agreement, which will have the synopsis and projected expenses as included in your mid-year update. For organizations that selected no changes in their update form, report on activities detailed in the FY21 application renewal your organization submitted. This would include 1 to 5 projects, and these organizations will report on all funded projects in the FY21 CDF final report. For organizations that provided programmatic updates in their update form, report on activities detailed in the update form, which stipulated incorporating all CDF funded activity into one project. Your final report form will provide space for you to report on that single updated project. The CDF application portal has been updated to allow for reporting on a single project if your organization submitted an application update form. The information included in the update form submitted will not be included in the blue reference text that you will see in the online FY21 CDF final report. To confirm the approved funded programs, please look first at your grant agreement, which will have the synopsis and projected expenses as included in your mid-year update. You received a submission confirmation email upon submitting the application update form online, which contains a PDF of your updated submission. Please search for emails titled FY21 CDF Application Update Form from do not reply at culture.nyc.gov. If more than one update form was submitted, please look at the most recent version for the scope that should be referenced in the final report. Please reach out to your program specialist if this email is no longer accessible. An FY21 Language Access Fund, LAF, and Disability Forward Fund, DFF, awards were incorporated into FY21 CDF grant agreements, and organizations were instructed to include those programs in their application update forms. Organizations that receive this funding should include it in their FY21 CDF final report. The Department of Cultural Affairs has received approval from our oversight agencies to specify categories of expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and may be charged to the grant. These expenses can be included in your project budgets in the final report and detailed in the report and scope change. These categories of approved expenses related to COVID-19 are detailed in the final report overview, which all organizations should read before completing their report. A link to this document was included in the email announcing the launch of the final report and can be downloaded from the reporting tab on our website. Here, we would like to highlight a few items from that overview. This year, final reports may include reasonable adjustments to programmatic expenses related to planning and preparation for programs that were curtailed, conversion of programs for online delivery, and expenses related to cancellation of programs. We understand that many of our organizations may not have been able to deliver their services at the scope anticipated because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. All grantees will retain their initial payments, frequently 80% of the total award. Please be in touch with your program officer if your organization was not able to deliver any public services under your CDF grant during FY21 or did not incur sufficient expenses reflected of the grant amount. There is a possibility that in some of these cases, a final payment will not be issued. Keep in mind that your CDF grant may cover up to 75% of your FY21 project's expenses, which is an increased percentage from prior years. The online reporting form will be essentially unchanged from previous years. This form includes fields to enter text alongside the corresponding information you entered in your application or renewal. If your program officer finds the final report insufficient, you will be able to edit and correct the data entered and resubmit the form. The report must be approved by the agency before you can receive your final payment. On the online form, you will be required to provide details about all the projects that made up your grant agreement. All organizations will log in using an nyc.id email address that is listed as an active user for their organization. If you have trouble logging in, please review the registration help guide, which can be downloaded from the registration section of our website. We have pasted a screenshot of what you'll see when you log in. This is the same page you saw when completing your application. It is essential to make sure that all of your organization's contacts are updated and that inactive email addresses are removed. The email addresses of the active users listed on your account profile are our primary means of contacting your organization. The final report form uses information from your account profile, so it must be correct. You can access the account profile by clicking the yellow button. To begin working on your final report, click the Start Final Report button. This video will not go field by field through the final report. However, the instructions document available for download on our website provides guidance for each and every field. All grantees are encouraged to keep those instructions by their side as they complete the final report, especially those who are grantees for the first time in FY21. Use the final report form to describe any actual services that were delivered in FY21. Do not refer to your original plans or cancellations that were a result of COVID-19. The scope change section of the supplemental submission form is the place to detail those changes. Your program officer will expect a high level of detail in the report. A common reason for revision is because a report is lacking specific and measurable detail. The two paragraphs shown here relate to the same program. The first is vague. The second includes the kind of details we are seeking, including the exact number of events that took place, the duration, details about the direct recipients, the staff names, and information about exact dates and audiences served. Please pause the video here if you would like more time to review the slide. The final report will include questions about your direct and indirect service recipients. Because of the ongoing shutdowns related to the COVID-19 pandemic, we understand that many audiences were served online, and that participants in your programs who are ordinarily physically located in New York City may have temporarily relocated. For services delivered online, please detail to the best of your ability how you reach New York City audiences and any analytics that support your entries for the number of NYC individuals served for the direct and indirect audience line items. Locations. The majority of grantees will be able to enter all programmatic locations in the online report form. It accepts up to 25 locations. A screenshot of that section of the report form is shown on this slide. Web-based programs should have at least one entry in this form. You may enter the administrative address of your organization, even if personnel delivering those programs did so from their homes. Only those grantees whose programs took place in more than 25 locations will submit the additional locations template, which you can download from our website and upload as part of the Supplemental Materials online form, which we'll discuss next. This year, supplemental materials will be shared with DCLA online. Do not mail hard copies to the DCLA office. These submissions will not be accepted. Back to the reporting page on our website, you'll find the link where you'll submit online supplemental materials that are required for all grantees to substantiate delivery of services as described in the report. The Conflict of Interest certification and additional locations template are also available for download here, and applicable grantees will submit them as part of the supplemental submission form. In previous years, organizations have submitted hard copy background materials for each project funded. In FY21, each organization will submit a PDF of up to 10 pages of substantiating materials related to each project. You might choose to submit images, press, promotional materials, or other programmatic items for each project. If your organization submitted an application update form in FY21 with programmatic updates, then you will only be providing one PDF as you were asked to consolidate multiple funded projects into one project as a part of your update form. If you are unclear which of these scenarios applies to your organization, please refer to the FY21 final report overview documented on the DCLA website for more information. If applicable, you will upload the completed templates for additional locations or conflicts of interest here. In previous years, your organization may have filed a scope of services request for revision or scope change only if there were programmatic or budgetary variations to your projects. For FY21, every organization was required to submit an application update form following award notification, which would have addressed all known changes from the original application at the time. If changes are needed now that the fiscal year has closed, those may be submitted as part of the online supplemental materials form by Monday, September 13th at 5 p.m. Your scope change should be the bridge between your most recent project proposal and your final report. Your most recent proposal will be what's included in your grant agreement, which was pulled from either the application update form or the original FY21 CDF application if you noted no change following notification. The scope change should only include what changed between your grant agreement and your final report. Your final report should reflect the actual public service activities that took place between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. The online scope change form can be accessed directly from the reporting page on our website. Program officers are available to discuss the threshold for requests for revision, such as a 25% increase or decrease in the overall project budget or significant changes to the scope or details of services reflected in your grant agreement. Organizations will use this form to report routine changes to programming as well as those due to the pandemic. Organizations whose projects were not significantly changed or that have already submitted an approved request for revision form will enter contact details, indicate no change on the form, and submit. Changes in scope will be reviewed alongside your organization's online final report, and your program officer will reach out with any request for revision. Think of this form like a bridge between your FY21 application and your FY21 final report. The application is where you propose what you expect to do. The scope change is where you describe what changed, why, when, and how. And the final report is where you describe what actually took place. The program staff is working both in the office and remotely. As mentioned before, all organizations should email their program officers with questions. It will help us serve you more efficiently if you send one email with all of your reporting related questions rather than sending multiple emails as you work your way through the report. In cases where it would be easier to speak in person, your program officer is available to schedule a phone or video meeting with you using Microsoft Teams. Please make every effort to begin the report soon, as your program officer may not be available to schedule a call in the days leading up to the deadline. Email remains the best way to reach your program officer. If you do not know who your program officer is, you can email our help desk at cdfhelpdesk@culture.nyc.gov. Your organization's final payment can be issued only when the final report and supplemental submissions are approved. Our reduced staff will be working through thousands of final reports. Like many of our grantee organizations, we are adapting our systems and protocols in this hybrid environment, and as a result, the review of FY21 final reports may take longer than it has in the past. We know that you are eager to receive your final payments, and we are eager to issue them. All active users registered with our organization will receive confirmation emails when your online final report and supplemental submissions are received and will be reviewed. Please wait to hear from us about the status of your report. Time spent responding to individual inquiries takes time away from our time to process payments. If there are no required changes to your report upon submission, your program officer will update the report status to draft approved and send you an email to let you know. At this point, you'll need to log in once more to recertify and resubmit your report. Information submitted at that time will be your final submission and will allow us to process your final payment. If your report status is revisions requested, this means your report could not be approved as submitted. Expect an email from your program officer with instructions on adjusting or correcting your report. Give this your immediate attention, follow the instructions provided, and resubmit. Once you receive notification that your draft has been approved, you'll need to log in once more to recertify and resubmit the revised report so that we may process your final payment. Notice that a draft approved upon first submission will be processed more expediently. We recommend spending a little bit of extra time on your end to ensure your first draft is in great shape. On the next slide, we will address a few pitfalls that have historically contributed to delays. Other than volume, reasons for delay usually have to do with not following the instructions closely. You can avoid delays by being sure to submit the final report, change in scope form, and supplemental materials by the deadline. Include sufficient detail in your report. Ensure the report does not refer to activities outside the city's 5 boroughs or outside the city's fiscal year. Exclude any activities funded by City Council initiatives in the CDF report. Instructions on how to submit initiative final report materials are already available on the DCLA website. Revise the text from the application proposal. Don't just copy and paste. Enter location information correctly. As a final reminder, the deadline for the CDF report is Monday, September 13th at 5 p.m. This is the same deadline as the DCLA administered FY21 City Council Initiative Final Report. More information about that process was emailed to all active users at designee organizations. Again, if you have specific questions about how to complete this report for your organization, please email your program officer directly or contact the CDF Help Desk at culture.nyc.gov. Thanks for viewing this video, and we look forward to working with you.